In this part of the video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can leverage the SIM to establish secure end-to-end IP connections between your IoT devices and the cloud. For this demonstration, I'm using a Raspberry Pi with the Seed GSM LTE Cat 1 modem, which is based on the u-blox R211 cellular module. SIMs I'm using are provided by Twilio and support their Trust Onboard service, which means that they're ready to securely connect to the cloud platform. Ensuring secure IP connectivity is a critical part of many IoT services, and this security is typically achieved using internet protocols such as TLS. TLS is commonly implemented using PKI, which uses public certificates and private keys. It's essential when using PKI that private keys are kept private. And in the case of IoT devices, it can be very challenging to protect the private keys inside an IoT device, especially if the device is physically vulnerable and could be taken apart and memory chips accessed. One of the key recommendations within the GSMA IoT Security Guidelines, indeed any IoT security guidelines, is to protect private IoT device credentials using a secure and certified hardware root of trust. The SIM is, of course, a tried and tested hardware root of trust that has been used by the mobile industry to provide secure access to mobile networks. The good news is that SIM can also be leveraged to enable secure access to cloud networks using TLS, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate. In this demonstration, I have two Twilio SIMs, each SIM containing a secure TLS public certificate and a private key. Using the Twilio portal, I can associate these TLS certificates to the Microsoft Azure Cloud. This configuration happens only on the back end, which means I do not have to perform any customization of the IoT device software to get them to connect to the Azure Cloud. All I need to do is plug in the SIMs, which contain the security credentials for secure access to both the Twilio network and the Azure Cloud. This demonstration is based on a Twilio tutorial that you can find on the Twilio website. So let's get started. First, let's have a look at the kit that I have in front of me. I have a Raspberry Pi, in this case a Model 2. Attached to it I have a Seed Hat LTE GSM modem based on the u-blox R211. Attached to the Seed board is a small display, temperature and humidity sensor. There is a USB connecting the Pi to the Seed Hat, plus a small battery and a couple of antennas. The application I'm going to run on the Pi is a demo application from Twilio, and you can find details on how to get the app from the Twilio tutorial. The app is pretty simple. Basically, it securely connects to the Azure IoT Hub using the certificates in the Twilio SIMs and sends temperature and humidity readings to the cloud. The important thing to note here is that I don't need to configure anything within the device software to connect to the cloud. If the certificates weren't in the SIMs, I'd have to inject them into the Pi myself. Because the Pi has no hardware security, it would be easy to extract the private keys and create clones of the device. Because the certificates are in the SIM, they're completely secure, and it's therefore impossible for me to clone this device. So that's the device setup. Now let's look at the setup on the Twilio portal. So open my browser here, just connect to the Twilio connectivity management platform. So this should bring up the Twilio dashboard. Now there's an awful lot of services provided by Twilio through their dashboard, so I'm not going to go through really any of them. I'm just going to go straight to the one I'm interested in, which is under this tab called Programmable Wireless. If I click on that. Okay, so under this tab I'll find details of the two details of my account. So I've got two SIMs registered. I click on the SIM tab, I can see the SIM details here. So there's an ID that's been issued by Twilio for each of the SIMs, an ICC ID and so forth. I click on one of these, get a little bit more information about this specific SIM. What's interesting here is that there's a service here called Trust Onboard. This is what Twilio call the service that they offer, which basically is a set of pre-installed certificates on their SIM cards. And what I can do from the console here is actually I can synchronize those certificates to your chosen cloud platform. So in this case, in this demo, we're going to use Microsoft Azure, but I can use this console here to perform that synchronization operation. So I just click on the sync button. And what I would do here is enter the identity of my Microsoft Azure IoT device provisioning service. So I've already done this for both of these particular SIMs, but I've entered the ID into this box here. Twilio would then go away, synchronize with Microsoft Azure platform to make sure that those certificates are synced up in the back-end system. This means that basically both SIMs are now ready to connect securely to Microsoft Azure Cloud. One other thing just to mention here is that obviously I'm following a tutorial provided by Twilio, and you can find that tutorial by clicking on the Trust Onboard link here on this page. So this then takes you to a page which tells you a little bit more about Trust Onboard, and as you can see at the top here, there's a link through to the tutorial. Tutorial pretty detailed, takes you through the setup step by step, very easy to follow. The link's there to so you can go and follow that and go through the steps in your own time. Next, let's look at the initial setup on Azure. So let me open my browser and navigate to the Azure portal. Okay, so there's the dashboard. If I click on all resources, it'll show the resources that I've set up and that are running. So number of resources listed here. So first key resource is the IoT hub. So this is a standard resource that Microsoft offer, and this is the instance that my devices will connect to and will authenticate to once they connect to Azure. Another very important service is the provisioning service. So this is the zero-touch provisioning service provided by Microsoft. So effectively, this is the service that has the certificates from Twilio. And as soon as the devices connect, we'll provision the test hub with those certificates so that my devices can connect to the hub and start sending data to my IoT hub. I've also set up a time series insights environment. This is a tool provided by Microsoft that allows you to graphically show the data that's being received by your hub and display that data. And there are also a couple of associated services running here. So there's an event source service and a storage account, and they're handling the events and data that are being sent to the Azure cloud by my devices. Right, we're all set up. So let's try and demonstrate the benefit of having the cloud security certificates in the SIM. This next step, I'm going to insert one of the Twilio SIMs into the device, and all being well, it should automatically be provisioned onto my Azure IoT hub and start sending data to the hub. Let's get the Azure portal on the screen here. So I'm going to click on the IoT hub. I'm then going to open the IoT device tab. And as you can see, the no device is currently provisioned onto my IoT hub. So let's now just open a session to the Raspberry Pi. Okay, so we'll just log into the Pi, get that ready. Okay, so that's the Pi ready to run the application. I'm now just going to open another window. It's actually an event monitor for the Azure IoT hub. So it's just run from the command line on my laptop here. So let's just get that running. And any events now that come into the IoT hub should be shown in that window. Okay, so I think we're all ready. Let's go back to the Raspberry Pi. We'll just set an alias to the application, and then we can start running the demo. This should happen pretty quickly as soon as we click go here. So let's run the demo, and pretty shortly we should see the device provisioned onto the Azure hub. Let's give it a second. And there we go. So we're seeing the provisioning steps taking place. The device is provisioned, and there we are. It's already sending some data to the Azure cloud. So you can see in this case the IoT device is just reporting the temperature and humidity to the cloud. If I click refresh on the Azure portal, you can see there the device appears now, and also in the bottom window here you can see events now coming into the hub itself. So that's the first event reported. If we wait a second more, we should see another event reported by the device in a few seconds. There it goes, and there it is received by the hub. So Very quickly there, we saw the device being provisioned to the hub, and we can see it establish a secure connection to the IoT hub and sending data to the hub. Okay, so it was really easy to get this device to connect to the Azure Cloud. All I had to do was switch on the device and run the app. No other configuration was required. Let's see what happens when we insert the second Twilio SIM. So check the first SIM. We'll quickly go to the Raspberry Pi. Let's close down the application. Stop that working. Insert the second SIM into the device. Now I'm hot swapping the SIMs here, which isn't ideal. Sometimes this doesn't work, but we'll give it a go. Let's try running the application with the second SIM in. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the Raspberry Pi to just configure that second SIM. So first time that application fails, let's run it again. See if it works this second time. Okay, we're just waiting. See, something may be happening. Let's see. Oh no, that's failed again. Let's run it a third time. Fingers crossed. Yep, and there we are. So it's now connected to the Azure Hub. It's provisioned, and that second SIM is now sending data. Let's click on the hub here, we do a refresh. Yep, we've got two devices provisioned. If we look at the monitoring window, you can see data coming in to the hub, new events coming into the hub. So that's all very simple. I just swapped the SIMs, the second SIM instantly connected to the hub as a completely new device and is sending data securely to the Azure Cloud. So let's make this a bit more visual by using Azure Time Series Insights. So let's bring up the Azure portal. In this case, I'm actually bringing up a thing called Time Series Insights, which is a tool provided by Azure to visualize your data that's coming from your IoT devices. So in this case, the IoT device in front of me has been running for about 10 minutes, has been sending temperature readings to the Azure Cloud. You can see the readings here. They've been sent periodically for the last 10 minutes or so. As new data arrives, you just refresh the screen and you can see new data arriving into the hub. So let's show what happens when I switch devices. So as you can see at the moment, we've got the data shown in blue. So this is coming from the first SIM. The second SIM is registered, but it's not active. You can see there's no data that's come in from the second SIM as yet. So what we need to do is obviously get the device and swap those SIMs over. So let me just bring up the interface to the Raspberry Pi. We can close down the application, and now I'll just quickly swap over the SIM. So take the first SIM out, but the second one back into the Pi. What I'll do in this case is actually reboot the Pi so that the new SIM registers. So there, I've lost connectivity to the Pi. I'm going to wait for it to reboot, re-establish the connection. There we go. So we've got the login prompt. So it's logging back into the Raspberry Pi. Got the blue lights flashing, so the modem's already connected. So let's start running the application again. Hopefully it will connect. Yep, so there we go. The device is now connected to Azure with that second SIM and sending data through. So let's look at the console again. Click a refresh button. So hopefully just wait a few seconds now and we'll start seeing data coming in from that new SIM. And indeed, there we go. So as you can see here, the data has been plotted on a separate graph. It's now appearing in purple. It's coming from the second device. If we wait a few more seconds, we should hopefully get another burst of data come in and start seeing the data being plotted on the graph in front of us. So a couple more seconds, there we go. So there we are. You can see a couple of data points coming in from the second SIM. Okay, so that hopefully shows the benefits of having the cloud security certificates in the SIM. Firstly, we saw how easy it was to provision the devices by just inserting the SIM. And secondly, we have the benefit of knowing the private keys are protected inside the SIM, making the device impossible to clone. So that concludes this demonstration. I hope you found it interesting and picked up some useful tips on how mobile networks can be leveraged to secure your IoT services. You can find more information from the following sources.